another 1v1 Heart of the Swarm commentary. I'm fairly excited to show you this game. I just played it, so I'm still enjoying the afterglow. This is between me and Goku from, I'm not sure what kind of XLG, never heard of them, but he's 4th in his Master League division, which is pretty cool. And he was also, let's see if I can find it, he was also Grandmaster last season and in Wings of Liberty. He was Grandmaster last season and in Wings of Liberty. So very good Terran opponent. Let's see, Unsaved, Overgrowth, Watch Solo. So there's Goku, and this is Achilles. That complete new Protoss. Oh. You know, people have been talking about balance of late. I've been checking a lot of Terran's ladder statistics, and interestingly enough, not that many of them have Protoss as their highest loss rate. A good portion of them have it as Zerg. Like, not many have it as Terran. Terran seems to be a fairly strong matchup for a lot of Terrans, which I think is amusing. But I mean, it seems pretty evenly split between Protoss and Zerg being their worst matchup. So, just something interesting to keep in mind. I'm going to be doing the same sort of opening that I have done in the past. It's getting to the point where I'm gonna need to start re-exploring other strategies, like going the extreme just gateway into expand. You know, that one's I used to do that one a lot. You know, maybe I'll just switch to doing blink all-ins. Who knows? But the double gas into Phoenix Colossus. You expand after the Mothership Core, and then after the expansion, you get a Stargate, and with the Stargate, you get an Oracle. You scout out their natural. If there is a natural already down, then you just start Colossus Tech. If you don't see natural, you start Immortal production immediately, because it means there's some sort of one-base timing coming your way, and you want Immortals up. Since you have the Stargate, optionally you go Void Rays. You go Void Race temporarily. That's kind of dependent on whether you want to commit to gateway units or not, and that all matters whether you've gotten early or gateway started or what. And I finally figured out a good time to start gateway. The way you do it is after. Actually, I'll have to wait and see. I think right before you start your Oracle, you're able to get a Stalker and Warpgate started. Now, the second the Cyber Core finishes, you start your Mothership Core, and the second you start your Mothership Core, you send a probe down here. Works fairly well. Now, he's just going the regular... He did not get a Reaper. A lot of Terrans I've noticed have not been getting Reapers. I used to feel like I got hit by a Reaper every single game, but instead they've been favoring just getting out 1 or 2 Marines and then starting a reactor. And I think the reason for this is I was playing a couple, I accidentally queued up a couple games as Terran, and I noticed that some Protosses, they just will send out like Mothership Core, 2 Zealots, and a Stalker, kind of like one of my PvP builds that I have. And even with a Reaper being annoying in their base, they're able to make another Stalker and have that defend, and you still have a whole bunch of units wrecking house up here. Whereas if you just go immediate couple Marines into more Marines, it's easier if you get a bunker up for that to actually be defensible and not have units just run past. So, interesting to keep in mind. Now let's see, yep, I got the Warp Gate and Stalker started right after throwing down the Stargate. So ASAP, after the Stargate, you can start those 2 things. And I don't have 150 gas because after I started this Nexus, I didn't put 3 in each geyser. That was a pretty substantial mistake because it delays the Phoenix. I actually automatically chronoed the Stargate because I was expecting to be able to make the Oracle, but I couldn't because 3 were not in each gas. I obviously noticed that, threw 3 in each gas. So he's moving out with a very small number of Marines, and this honestly doesn't do much at all. I'm not a big fan of this kind of attack because all that happens is you use overcharge, and that's it. The aggression ends. If you sacrifice Marines for probes, Terran actually loses in that exchange because they need to keep these Marines alive in order so they can do a real stim time. So yeah, I pulled 2 back. I only think I lost 2 workers. Oh, so yeah, that doesn't do anything at all. The one thing that it does do is it does, distract your opponent, so shouldn't be too critical of pokes. But because he didn't get a Reaper, he didn't see that I was going double gas, and he took the risk of not throwing down engineering bay and turrets, and now is losing probes because of that. A couple Marines. The main point of this Oracle, though, is for scouting information. I came so close to delaying that factory. Yep, just flying around, being annoying. Seeing the factory and the 3 barracks tells you that it's a completely standard opening. Lots of Terrans do this, and this is just basic bio pressure. You get the factory with the reactor to get the starport to get double medevacs, and then later double Viking production. And these 3 racks give you a healthy Marine Marauder force. Emphasis on the Marauders, but you can still pump Marines out. I noticed a lot of Terrans, not a lot, but some Terrans favor heavy Marine production. Right now, he's favoring Marine production. He's favoring supply block, actually. But I think he'll start favoring Marauders. I don't think he stays on Marines too long. But they seem to favor getting Marines early game. Marines have that high DPS. They're good at dealing with Oracle, so that makes sense in response to my Oracle opening. Double medevacs. Now let's see where I'm at. I should be just now. Whoa, this is stupid. Why am I waiting so long okay, I flew back in with my Oracle, but I should have started this before doing that. That was silly. That was a very silly mistake. I actually did this on both ends. I delayed starting this a little bit because I flew in first. I also delayed starting the upgrades because I flew in back over here. But I see him moving out because I have these 2 observers, so that gives me a pretty good line of sight. It's kind of nice having this second observer. Sometimes if I don't get this super easy scout off, this super good scout, then I might just keep that second observer here in case of Banshee. But in this case, I didn't feel like I needed to do that. So I'm just putting Zealots in the low ground, gas units on the high ground, going to be able to have this Colossus do a lot. He's able to just pop back up and forth. Might bring the Zealots back, don't let them die. Oh. I needed to pause right here because I jumped up to like 30. My mistake, I'm sorry. Because I left. I popped up to like 30 spikes a minute, and I had to pause for them to subside. It was very, very distracting. It was nice of him to let me pause. I could have kept playing if he unpaused, but it was just, it's nice not to have to play through lag sometimes. Got the observers in good spots. I'm just trying to get pylons down, but he's doing a good job of stopping me from being able to do that. Need to get Colossus going. I have a lot of minerals, and the reason why is because right around now is when I like to be putting down pylons and taking a third. But I can't really be taking a third because he's got an army sitting right here. Instead of throwing down 4 pylons, I scout this, and what I'm going to do because of that is I'm going to take this Oracle, and I'm going to delay his 3rd base. And so even though he's delaying my 3rd base, I'm like, you know what, I'm okay with floating all this money. I'll spend it in a minute, but I'm going to make sure I delay his 3rd also. So that way, this is a little more justified. So even though it looks like he's spending his money more, he really has another 400 doing absolutely nothing. So we're just about even. even though it looks like I'm massively off because I'm delaying my third so much. Because the other thing I do when I put my third down is I put down, you know, pylon, gateway, gateway, cannon, pylon. It makes it like very strong and very hard for this to immediately snipe. So you just put a nexus down, that is so easy for this number of marauders and marines to snipe. So even though I made 2 observers, they're actually not with my army at the present, so I need to be very careful of these widow mines. Very careful. Unfortunately, though, I believe he makes a rather critical error. I waited until I had a good number of Phoenix. I had them patrolling back here. And Colossus, yeah, see, he accidentally unburrowed them. I thought I had an observer when I moved out and just instantly lost them. Pretty bad on his part, but mines really don't cost all that much. Let's check units lost really quick. Nope, so very even so far. I wasn't expecting there to be a discrepancy, but good to check. So I was able to get pylons on this side of the map, but I really need pylons on this side of the map too. Now I can finally do that, since I took care of his watchtower control. So ASAP, I need to take a third, and I need to get pylons on this side of the map. He finally, oh, yeah, see, this was a very substantial delay, because he's only just now starting his, or finishing up his third. So I clear out the marine that was down here, or maybe I just was checking that there wasn't another marine down there. Throwing up that third, getting more gateways down. That was the other thing. I started gateways here, and he actually sniped them when he attacked, because they were not finished producing. So I didn't have as much production capability as I normally would, because of not having the production that I wanted. But I hate having Nexi without any gateways, pylons, and cannons in front of them. Like, cannons are way more optional, way less important, but there needs to be some sort of buffer so they aren't super easily sniped. And I've got an observer in his army right now, which is letting me keep a real close eye. But I mean, this is the important part, because it makes it much harder for drops to come. Because like, if we look at just my vision, he has to like take a drop, go right through this path here, come down here, and then he can cut over. And it's like far fewer angles where he can go unnoticed. He's doing a really good job of taking watchtower control. I guess that makes sense for Terrans to do since they don't have things like this to do. But I feel like this is much stronger and much more important than watchtower, because like, yeah, you put a unit in a watchtower, you have map vision, but now I can also warp in armies, so far stronger. And unfortunately, he's a Master League player, so my Zealot Harass did very, very little damage, but I think it accomplished distracting, because I really was behind in my macro. Like, I haven't even gotten this base saturated yet. I only just now got Templar tech and upgrades started. Like, I was very, very behind in tech. Like, I could not move out right now, because I have a 0-0 army against a 1-1 army. And he probably has... Does he has 2-2 on the way? No, Terrans skip that a lot, because they, whatchamacallit, the Terran Twilight Council doesn't fit into the build as easily as it does for Protoss. But I believe he's going to move up to Ghosts eventually. He hasn't moved up yet, which is smart. Because what some Terrans do, which is dumb, is even though they see Phoenix, they counter Templar anyway. And if Toss has Phoenix, Colossus, he can't also have Templar until he has 3 bases saturated. You just don't have enough to produce this, upgrades, and also this. Like, I didn't even have enough for upgrades for a while. Like, I was floating minerals because I wasn't able to do all of this stuff that I like to do. Because this burns through minerals very efficiently, because you're able to send zealots in, you get so much scout. Like, look at this map control right now. Like, I just want to pause briefly and see, like, look at that. See, it's all the way up there. Both, well, the important watchtower for me, I've got an observer here watching there. There's just no way for him to break in. And all that lets you burn through minerals, you know, doing zealot harass. So he comes in here, but I've got a nice choke point where he can't run forward and snipe Colossus. So I'm able to get my Phoenix right in the way and melt down his Vikings. I kind of run them up, I'm not really sure what my reasoning was there, but this choke point's super good. This is not a good attack angle for him. Plus I actually had observers with my army this time, so I was able to nullify Widow Mines. I've gotten way more careful about Widow Mines, because Widow Mines will just wreck your army if you don't respect them. Like, you cannot walk into 4 or 5 Widow Mines and just eat those. You know, before the buff to Widow Mines, you certainly could, but not anymore. And then I actually run my Phoenix in and lose 2 or 3 of them, which is really bad. And this delayed even further me getting Storm, because I queued up a whole bunch of Phoenixes, because I really wanted to have Phoenixes. So if that hadn't happened, I was actually gonna like really start chronoing this, warp in some High Templar, and then move out as soon as that Storm finished. So that's delaying my Storm timing. This was also frustrating. I hate it when that happens. I double click, but I only select one. And I swear, because of how our brains work, in that we tend to see what we expect, not always what's there. Whenever I make this mistake, it always looks like the upgrade starts here, because I think I've selected both. I literally see the blue bar pop up, and then I chrono both of them, and like in my mind I really have started with upgrades, and then I go back and I'm like, no way, there's 2 freaking upgrades in there. It's really, like, it's not too frustrating because I understand why it happens, and we understand why something happens. It's not too bothersome, but it's just, it puts you behind, especially because I think it's armor that got delayed. Yep, and armor's the important upgrade in PvT. But the thing that lots of Phoenix lets you do is get lots of Colossus. Like, this number of Colossus without Phoenix, like, it just doesn't work, because yeah, you have Stalkers, but they're not mobile enough to keep your Colossus alive. But with Phoenix, you can zone out Vikings. So now he's finally starting to clear out my pylons. Having Zealots hit you from either side makes you feel like you can't move out. He's going up to 4 and 5 bases. I'm finally going up to 4. I'm really rarely eager to get a 4th base. Because here's the thing, and Starcraft talks about this a lot in his videos, that there is almost 0 reward for going beyond 3 bases. Yeah, you get extra gas, which is nice, but in terms of what you can physically saturate with your probes, 3 bases is basically what you're running on. If you have more than that, then you're going to suffer an army. And in reality, even though you get a bit of a gas advantage by having 4 bases, really you have all the resources you need on 3. It's just that you need to have good macro. So it's better to work on having good macro than to... I like missed this entire battle because I was trying to finish my point. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible, terrible commentator. But the only point I was trying to make was that on 3 bases, yeah, you get a slight advantage on 4 with a little extra gas. But in a lot of ways, it's better to be on 3 bases and try and have perfect macro than to be on 4 bases and have more resources. Because even if you have an economic advantage on 4 bases, you have a tactical disadvantage, because there's so many more ways for your opponent to pick you apart when there's 4 bases to attack instead of 3. 3 bases very easy to defend, 4 bases not so much. So better to work on perfect macro on 3 bases, since that'll give you a much better position tactically. That's what I was trying to say. Now let's watch this wonderful fight. Zealot's not really in the lead, but I've got Storms, but now he has Ghosts. So I get a couple of Storms off, but then it's always, yep, boom, 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 EMPs, knock everything out. And I know I've said before not to engage when you get your EMP, but I saw that he was on 2-2, and I knew I was on 2-2 also. So we had those even upgrades, and if I had seen my Phoenix getting torn apart by Vikings, I would have backed off. But the thing was, I saw my Phoenix eating up Vikings. And then, with as many Colossus as I had, his army wasn't doing anything. So I knew once my Starkers came back in, there was no worry, and I was going to be able to kill off all of the stuff with my Phoenix. So there we go. GG. GG. Phoenix. In the past, what I've done is, I'm not going to work too hard to find that spot, we'll just jump back so that there's things going on. I like looking at the mini-map. But in the past, when I've lost all my Phoenixes like I did over here, I've just stopped making them and immediately switched into Templar, which has worked. But this time what I did was I remade a bunch of Phoenixes, so I was able to hold on to, you know, the function that unit served, and then I switched into Templar. And I like that. I think Phoenix is a good enough unit that if he's going on Vikings like this guy was, then you want to have a lot of Phoenix. What I should have noticed was his medevac count. Sometimes Terrans cut when they only have like, you know, 3 or 4 medevacs. And when that happens, they're able to get out a lot more Vikings a lot faster, and then I think that the Templar switch is more necessary. If he has a lot of medevacs, then, excuse me, then Phoenix are obviously really, really good. If he has a lot of Vikings, they are still good, but he can't lose them like I did. So that's just a couple of things to keep in mind. Really needed to have my tech transition smoother. Needed to have upgrades already started. Like, I cannot believe it's 15 minutes into the game and I don't have double forges already going. I let this delay of my 3rd base and delay of my 4 pylons interrupt way too much. Luckily, because I didn't move out when I shouldn't have, I was able to make up for those mistakes. Because there are a lot of times that if I had moved out, I would just instantly die. Like right now, I cannot move out. I don't have my upgrades yet. I don't have a good enough Phoenix count. Because, you know, later I have like a full half control group. I haven't, you know, saturated this yet. It's just, there were a lot of times like that in the game. But I can create more opportunities for myself, and you know, everyone can, with smoother transition. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you next time.